States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our next regular scheduled meeting is Friday, February 23rd at 9 a.m. at the Community Center at 3500 Edgewater Drive, Sebring, Florida. Please silence or turn off your cell phones. This will make sure that everybody picked up on it. The meetings will be held now at the Community Center, except in the summertime. So this is a repeat. Okay. Before we actually start the agenda, I'd like to make just for a moment to make a comment. This community is a pretty close-knit community. There's a lot of wonderful people here, and every month we have a loss, sometimes more than one. Just recently, this past weekend, we had a loss of a dear friend of the community and an ambassador, Floyd Allen. And also last month, the end of January, I think it was January 25th, Rex Bond, who was the district manager here for 13 plus years, also passed away. So I just wanted to take one moment of silence before we get into the regular scheduled agenda. Thank you. Okay, the consent agenda. Minutes of the regular Board of Supervisors meeting held on January 26, 2018. Treasurer's report and financials, December 31st, 2017. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
Public comment? Roll call, please.
Supervisor Stiegel?
Yes.
Supervisor Branson?
Yes.
Supervisor Brooks?
Yes.
Supervisor Gilpin?
Yes.
President Camp?
Yes. Action agenda. First item on the action agenda is resolution number 2018-0209-05, a resolution of Sun and Lake of Sebring Improvement District adopting the Highlands County Multi-Hazard Local Mitigation Plan as amended and updated in 2015. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Public comment? Yes, no?
Can I give a little summary about the local mitigation strategy?
It's all 609 pages.
Please, I know. I had no intention for any of the supervisors to read it, but this is a comprehensive plan developed by Highlands County. This group develops, they also meet on a regular basis, but they develop and maintain a unified countywide plan that identifies disaster-resistant projects. The organizations that are involved with this work group is the Board of County Commissioners, of course, City of Avon Park, City of Sebring, Town of Lake Placid, Florida Forest Service, Lake June Point Property Owners, Orange Blossom Baptist Association, the School Board, the Sebring Airport Authority, South Florida State College, South Florida Water Management District, Spring Lake, and then Sun and Lake. So today's resolution approves the 2015 comprehensive plan, and the plan is updated every 5 years. So as they update their plan, they require those local governments to adopt their plan as a formal resolution. In case of an emergency, which we did have in September of 17 for Hurricane Irma, grant funds are released to these governments to assist them in whatever their needs are in their assessment of needs. It could be generators, it could be drainage, it could be other, depending on each government, they each have their own initiatives. So this resolution today is just to adopt the formal plan so that we can tap into those grant fundings for our initiatives.
Okay. Thank you, Tanya. Public comment? Chrissy, roll call.
Supervisor Branson?
Yes.
Supervisor Brooks?
Yes.
Supervisor Gilpin?
Yes.
Supervisor Stiegel?
Yes.
President Camp?
Yes. Item number 2, resolution number 2018-0209-06, a resolution of Sun and Lake Sebring Improvement District to award the bid for the maintenance assessment rate study designated as RFP 17-12 to GAI Consultants for $17,500. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Tanya?
Yes. The maintenance assessment rate study was advertised, in which we received 2 proposals, one from GAI Consultants and the other from We Serve Governments, which is Government Services Group, Inc. The district is recommending GAI Group of Orlando in the amount of $17,500 to perform an assessment review for the district. This review will look at our current methodology and propose any adjustments at that time. We are not asking GAI to come in and do a complete overhaul of our assessment methodology, but we are asking them to review the rates that we currently have in the categories.
Board discussion?
So, I have to get this closer. Just so I understand, it's the 2014 survey, they recommended a complete overhaul, and that is not what they're going to be doing this time.
Correct.
They're just going to be looking at the rates that we see on the sheet and choosing and picking where they think they may be not in line with the others. Is that basically what they're doing?
Basically, yes.
Wow.
I mean, that's exactly, I mean, they're going to review the rates, and again, rates are, we bill our rates based on benefit unit. So based on what the benefit is for an improved property versus vacant lots, our rates are in need of a review. I mean, it's been 9 years since our rates have even changed in total. So, you know, the board, in discussions in the last year and a half or so, we've looked at this and we feel it's necessary.
Okay, in the letter that you sent out to us, you listed 3 examples of, I guess, where you think they may be unfair. Is that correct?
Correct.
So they're going to be looking specifically at those 3 and then going on to the balance of the assessments?
They're going to look at all the rates.
Look at all the rates?
Yes, these are just some examples that I've given the board that has come up in the last few years of issues.
Will they be looking at commercial properties in Tanglewood?
Yes, they will.
But it's not an overhaul?
It's not an overhaul. The 2014 methodology was presented to the board based on square footage of every lot in the district. And based on that, that means that certain houses and certain neighbors of yours may have a larger lot than you, so they might be paying a different rate. That's not currently the case.
Okay.
Okay, so
When they do this study, it takes what, 4 weeks? Is that
once
right?
they're going to do an information request, once we are able to provide them all the information, they estimate about 4 weeks.
So, all right, so they do this study in 4 weeks, they come back and they say, they take our assessment list and they'll say, these are the recommended changes that we think you should
Yes.
put into motion?
It'll be up to the board. It'll be up to the board.
And then when we rebalance the whole thing, then we have the option down the road of increasing or decreasing, because we'll have the percentages that everybody's contributing correct.
Correct, yes.
Thank you.
I just want to thank you for explaining it all to me, because it's a lot more difficult than what you just looking at the, you know, at the figures that we do. So, thank you.
Any further comment from the board? Okay. I do have a few comments. I know that, number one, I mean, Tanya doesn't even have to bring this to the board. It falls under that threshold of the $25,000. I believe that's correct.
Correct.
And I clearly believe that we need to look at an assessment methodology. As you had indicated, it's been in place for a number of years, and some things are disproportionate. Certainly, I think, personally, I think some things like the unimproved lots, the areas that you just highlighted are certainly important. Where I have a few concerns, and I hate to say that certain people weren't on the board last year, so maybe they aren't fully aware of what transpired, but last year we had the same people with the same price. I, at that time, said, gee, you know, I looked at their proposal, and my concern was that everything in their proposal, I called it a boilerplate. Now, of course, I was later corrected, it wasn't a boilerplate. They said it because of Florida statutes, they had to do certain things, and I totally understood that. Where I went wrong was calling it a boilerplate. What I meant was their proposal itself was a boilerplate, word for word, verbatim, right down the line. The difference this year is the salutation that they wrote. Instead of sending it to Omar in the cover letter, they sent it to you, Tanya. But once again, every word is exactly the same. So I decided to go back to the 2014 methodology, which was Mr. Wright at the time, and the board at the time accepted that methodology. They came up with what you described as a square footage or equivalent unit. I guess it was called an ELU, equivalent land unit, and they came up with a formula for that, and that was kind of their idea. At the time, when they came back with that proposal, there was an estimate that maybe, or possibly, commercial rates could go up 19.3 times the existing rate. At the same time, they came up and they said Tanglewood would go up maybe 4.7 times. Now, I know there's a couple landowner supervisors on this board, so I'm sure that they would be very concerned if those two locations had such a jump. My major concern is these people have not really demonstrated to me anything about updating any of their records. They've seemed to take the same proposal and pass it on. And the other and almost final aspect of this is I don't believe that we're paying $17,000 and going to get what we really want. I think they're going to come back with a very similar proposal, and I personally don't think, I think the other group is better. It's a lot more expensive, but the other group, granted, will have to start from scratch. So that means it's a 3.5, 4-month project. The good part is these people have all of the data on us, but I'm not sure they might be using all of the same data that they had from years back in 2014. I just don't have a comfortable feeling the way they've handled this whole proposal. And then last year, when the board, this was presented in front of the board asked for to get a presentation from GAI, and for whatever reason, and I went through some of the documentation. I couldn't put my finger on exactly why, but they withdrew. So they didn't even have, as far as I'm concerned, the courtesy of coming in and presenting to us. They must have felt that it just wasn't worth their time. I don't know. I don't want to second guess, but anyway, I am not in favor of using these people. It's my humble opinion. Public comment? Chrissy, roll call.
Supervisor Brooks?
Confused. We got a list. I thought we got a list of a brief history of the current assessment methodology, and there's nothing mentioned about last year.
No, last year, it was brought to the board to do an assessment methodology. These people were once again well, I can't answer that question.
I mean, I see July of 2000, July of 2008, August of 2014. That's the last one.
They didn't do the actual methodology. They just responded to the bid just like they've done here.
Oh, so we bid out the project last year?
Yes.
And elected to do nothing?
And elected not to do it. Well, the board elected, let me correct that, and then Tanya, you can jump in. The board elected to get a presentation from these people. They did not show, for whatever reason, and maybe Tanya can answer that, but we never had the presentation, so we never really had the opportunity to re-vote on it.
I can certainly request a presentation.
Pardon me?
I can request a presentation of GAI to have, come here and present in front of the board.
Well, I mean, in light of what I'm hearing, I think I would prefer to hear from them on what they think they can do for us before I would vote to have them do it, under the circumstances.
Would it make sense to have presentations from both companies, so if there's differences in the approach, we would be able to evaluate those?
We can certainly request that.
I mean, that's just my opinion, I don't know about...
But you're recommending this one.
I'm recommending GAI because of the previous experience. They do have the data. Yes, the proposals that we received were very similar. I mean, like President Camp said, not much effort was put into changing the proposal at all. But they know what the board's direction is here, and as we go through the process, you know, again, they will be meeting with the supervisors, but we can certainly have them do a presentation, or the other company. But again, you know, even if I have to travel to Orlando and try to save some cost there, I can do that. You know, Tallahassee would not be cost feasible, you know, for us to have to do that. So it's up to the board, whatever the pleasure of the board is.
Question for you. You've reviewed both proposals.
Yes.
And you're recommending that we adopt this one?
Yes.
Well, I mean, I know it's only 17.5, and we've certainly spent more money than that on occasions, but with Mark's concerns be as they are, I think I'd like to hear them come in front of us and tell us what they're going to do before I sign off on it.
Can you, they can't tell us what they're going to do, or can they, until they do their... I mean, I was here
generically,
last year at the presentation, and they can't give us too many figures until they do it.
They can't give us too many figures, that's right.
Yeah.
They can discuss it with the board about what their approach would be
Okay.
from a, you know, looking at, reviewing the rates and what their approaches would be, but they wouldn't have data to present to us, absolutely not.
And I don't know, I looked at the references here, and it's kind of hard to decipher how many special districts they've worked with. Quite frankly, I didn't see any on there, but that doesn't mean they haven't. But I would think that knowing what the Florida law is, knowing what special districts are, they would be able to give us some kind of an outline as to what they've done in other districts. And I realize we're very unique because we have commercial property, we have, you know, unimproved lots, improved lots. But I think they should be able to give us some kind of an idea, couldn't they?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can request that.
I mean, it's up to the board. I would like to see them present it, you know. But once again, can I get a consensus from the board where we want to go with this? Do you want to have them present it? Do you want to vote on this now?
No.
We can make a motion to table it if you would like.
Motion what?
To table it.
Until
To
presentation.
table and have them come and make a presentation? Yes.
What would you feel?
Yeah,
Dan?
if a couple of you are uncomfortable with it until we talk to them, I don't mind tabling it. I mean, I
Do we have a
agree
second?
with Dan.
Okay, let's have a motion to table it. Can I get a confirmation? Motion?
I mean, I don't care if you table it. I guess my issue is we're not supposed to be down in the dirt. We're supposed to be at the 10,000-foot level. And if you have confidence in your general manager and she recommends it, then...
I agree, we're not supposed to be down in the dirt, but I just think there's some things that we should be looking at from maybe years ago, and I'm not saying you didn't look at them, okay? I would like to understand a little bit about what they're doing. I feel truly uncomfortable when somebody makes a proposal, they don't follow up on the proposal and call, and that's their livelihood, and they're making money on that. I'm wondering what kind of job we're going to get. It's only $17,500. Tanya certainly could have approved it without coming to the board. So, however we want to do it. If we want to table it, fine. If we want to take a vote, we can take a vote.
If we decide on the other one, that can't be approved, we'd have to approve that, the 34,000 one, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
We want to take a vote? I'm
I think
asking.
you have a motion to table it.
We did have a motion to table, but we can revert that and change it and say...
A second. We've got a motion to table. Do we have a second?
I second.
All right,
Okay.
so do we have a vote?
It's a motion to table it.
Supervisor Brooks?
Yes.
Supervisor Gilpin?
Yes.
Supervisor Stiegel,
Yes.
Supervisor Branson,
Yes.
President Camp.
Yes.
The motion fails. It's tabled.
No, it's just failed.
It doesn't fail,
It's- yeah.
it passed.
It's tabled.
We've
It's
tabled.
and we'll come back with some dates for a proposal as to when we can get, preferably both of them here at the same time.
Thank you. Third resolution, resolution number 2018-0209-07, a resolution of Sun and Lake Sebring Improvement District to award the bid for various drainage remediation projects designated as RFP 17-13 to KDL Underground for $158,125. Do I have a motion to approve?
Approved.
Second, anybody?
Second.
Tanya?
The board has received a memo from Polston Engineering recommending KDL, as President Camp said, $158,125. The project includes drainage improvements in Unit 13, 14, and 25. The improvements will involve the roadway culvert replacements, rear lot swale cleaning on the streets of Matanzas, Nada, and what's the other street? Thank you, Granada. And the design was completed in November 17, and we received 5 bids for this project. I was going to tell you, Drew and Mike met with KDL, and based on the recommendation of his letter, he's recommending us move forward with them. Did they give a timing, or we really haven't said any timing or any thoughts on timing? I know that when the rainy season starts, it's difficult to work. So
they informed us that they could start whenever we were given the go-ahead.
Okay.
He only requested a short time off, I think, for 1 week if he had to leave town, but they can start. They should be able to start as soon as we tell them to.
Board discussion?
Okay, I got a couple questions. Surprise. So in looking at the other bids, for Unit 13, Matanzas and Nita, KDL said $65,300. Excavation Point said $135,606. COP said $122,687. Dahlin, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, D-A-L-Y-N, said $93,200. And Underground said $138,000. My question is, are we okay? These guys are all coming in with awful high numbers to fix the problem there, and we're thinking about a company who's not even close. I mean, are they going to do what we need done, or are we going to have a problem?
We had a sit-down meeting with him, and we went over everything, went over the numbers with him, explained to him the same concerns. Did he miss anything, or is anything off? Did he put a number in the wrong place? And he assured us that he had all of his numbers good, and he was ready to go and could perform the work. So,
I mean, when this guy signs an agreement, if he overruns substantially, are we obligated, or is he obligated?
he's obligated. It's a contract. Unless we approve a change order, which we have no plans to do, he's obligated to complete the work. If he doesn't get paid.
All right, so we're comfortable with him being 30,000 or so under everybody else.
Right, and we explained that to him, that there will be no change orders. And we sat like an hour and a half and went through everything. We also went through his references, and everything showed fine, so.
Okay.
And we also told him that we will be inspecting daily to the work they do, so they know we're going to be there.
So you're comfortable with it?
I am.
So if it doesn't work out, I can have everybody call you.
Which you will.
Okay. Just want to make sure for the record.
Right, yeah.
All right, one other question. Units 2 and 5, which were part of the budget for this year, you didn't price those out, and I was wondering when those will be done.
We're currently seeking proposals to do those because it's slightly different the scope of the work we're performing. We did not include it into this bid process, but we're going to get proposals to do the work because we believe parts of it will be under the 25,000 threshold. So
we're still planning to get 2 and 5 done this year?
Yes.
in the budget?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
When you put out a request for quote for a project like this, how specific is our request? And what I'm looking for is some set of parameters that says this has been done the way it should have been done, and we don't have to find that out after the rains come. I mean, do you or do they determine what the width and the depth of all these ditches needs to be?
That's what we prepare. We design the plans, and that's part of their bid package that they're bidding on.
And then we have the ability to go back and assure ourselves that they've met all those requirements
Correct.
before we approve the project at its completion.
Correct. We do that also throughout the project to make sure they're doing it right.
All right.
My only comment, Drew, is for the audience, or just for the record too, that this Granada job has been 2 years. I mean, when I first come on the board, it's been a 2-year project to do this. And I heard that not everybody, I know Mike and Tanya sent out letters because it's quite a project and we didn't want to, a lot of people put sheds where they don't belong there and so on and so forth, and we have done more than our due diligence to let these people know, and I heard there's still a few that haven't done it. And I'm not going to feel sorry for them at all if they come in here and complain, because we give them 2 years to get that done. And I just want to make sure if anybody hears that we have, I think, went 1 year too long to get this project done, but for the sake of helping our neighbors and friends, that we do it. And I just, this Granada job needs to be done.
I agree.
Real quick for the board's knowledge, we won't have a change order from the vendor, and based on incorrect bids that he's given us. But if something changes of the project, or we change the scope, or something is agreed upon with the engineer and the contractor that it could have been done a little bit better, something to that nature, then we might have a change order. But as far as materials or supplies or anything like that, we will not have a change order in relation to that. And things do happen on the job. So so for instance, with the maintenance facility, there were a number of changes that Mike Hurley made throughout the project, and those were an example of a change order.
That's all fine and dandy, but if the change order comes to where the other bids were, I'm not going to be very happy ever doing business with this company again. Just so you know.
That's why we pay Polson.
Just a quick question. If they don't fulfill the obligation and complete the job, the bond would cover that, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
In
now-
in the bid documents, we didn't require a bid bond for a certain dollar threshold, but in talking with management in Polston, we feel it's a good idea to require a prepayment performance bond. And we have reached out to 2 different insurance companies here locally, and we're still waiting on some quotes. We would need to cover that because we did not have it in the bid specifications.
Correct. And so this number is 158,520 or 125, and it'll just increase by some percentage for that bid performance bond. But we're paying for that. They're not paying for it.
That is correct, yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Just statute by statute, if it's under $100,000, we can't require a bid bond. If it's 100 to 200,000, we may, and if it's over 200, then we're required to. So in our contract, we were in the 100 to 200,000 range, and it was not required. We've changed that now. All jobs over $100,000 will require a bid bond.
Great. You protect us. Thank you. Public comment? Hi, Bob. Oh.
Bob Butts, resident. Would you please repeat those quotes again? The dollar differences?
Sure.
I got them. One, 280,000 was one, 187,217 was two, 158, 125 was three, 242, $643 was four, and $233,211 was five.
Which one was the 65,000? Was that just a part of the quote, one of the quotes?
Yeah.
And he was 65, and the next was?
I was referring to just, when I said the 65.3, that was just Unit 13, Matanzas and Nita. That's what I was just, with the numbers that I gave was only referring to that part of the bid.
Well, having received thousands of bids through my years of working, I will guarantee you right now that he has missed something. He just doesn't know what it is yet, and he'll find it for you. So just be careful what you do.
Mike, both of you guys sat down. You went through all the drawings and everything. And
Every part of it with him. And we asked him, all right, are you sure you didn't miss anything? Now, Bob could be right, but he assured us he did not miss anything.
Okay.
True? Right. You know?
I mean,
So we spent an hour and a half with him.
yeah, it's human nature.
We learned the same thing when we saw the bids.
Yeah.
So,
It's human nature when you see something that's over $100,000 difference from the high to the low.
the only thing he did explain, he said that the other contractors do sub part of the work out where he doesn't. He's there all the time. He's hands-on. So and where he said his savings is right there. So.
Excellent. I have to trust what you guys sat down and worked with them.
You got a big credit card?
Any additional public comment? Okay. Chrissy?
Supervisor Gilpin,
Yes.
Supervisor Stiegel,
Yes.
Supervisor Branson,
Yes.
Supervisor Brooks,
Yes.
President Camp.
Yes. Add-on items?
None.
None? Petitions and communications.
We have one communication from Mrs. Snowball, who lives on Edgewater Drive. Her communication was brought to the landowners meeting, and Chairman Edgell at the time said he would just pass that along to the Board of Supervisors, so that's what we've done here.
Who was that from? Snowball?
Snowball.
It was regarding the dog park.
Yeah.
She's actually here and she'd like to speak with you at the podium.
Public comment, sure.
This was regarding the dog park that was supposed to be, or is being put on Edgewater Drive. I'm one of the residents in Edgewater Drive, and we didn't feel that we had any say in this matter. We feel that this was pushed through at a time when the seasonal owners were not around. 90% of the homes in Edgewater Drive do not allow any kind of animals of any kind, and we are having a dog park forced upon us as we don't think there's been any say by the residents of Edgewater Drive, basically. I would like to know if there were any other places were considered for this at the time.
Yes, Michael, you were involved heavily in this.
Yeah, there were two other areas, and after looking at all three areas, we felt that's the most convenient. That's where most of the people walk their dogs anyways, I mean, if you go there at 6 o'clock in the morning or 9 o'clock at night, there were people usually walking dogs up and down the area. So that was the reason why we picked that area. We had over 140 names on a petition to put a dog park in, and most of the people that we talked to wanted it there. You know, it's for the whole community, so that's why we decided to go there, and it's more convenient.
But none of them were residents in Edgewater Drive, and that's why we are really upset about this, because it's not fair that we should have to have a dog park when we don't use it right in front of our residences. There's places like Ortega that could have been considered. There are loads of spaces in Sunderland Lakes, other spaces in Sunderland Lakes that would have been more suitable for something like this, not right in front of all these residences.
Well, you know, we did look at 3 areas, and we felt, people involved felt that was the best area, so that's what we ended up with.
And the other thing was this was brought up in May, when most of the seasonal residents that live there were not there. It was put forward and passed in September before the seasonal residents came back. It's now been started, and you've got all the different stakes and things put out for it, and still no comment of why we weren't consulted. And it's our street.
Well, this has actually been going on for the last couple of years. There's been a lot of talk about dog park. Where it was going to go exactly, no. But for the last couple of years since I've been, there's been talk about people want a dog park. Well, and like I said, there were over 140 people that signed a petition.
Well, I'm quite sure we could get more than 140 people to say that we're opposing it. But the fact is that anything about this dog park seemed to be listed in a whole load of other things. It wasn't actually brought upon us, this is a dog park we want to have. It was, we're doing this dog park, and this. It was never taken separately, and told the residents were never given any consultation about it at all, and they're the ones that are going to have to look at it every day.
Well, I'm sorry, but I mean, I think we tried to contact everybody, you know, when we could, and I think we did our work.
We don't.
I disagree.
Well,
Really disagree.
I got the communicator this morning or yesterday in the emails, and that's the first thing that has been about the dog park in that communicator since this came up. That should have been put in the communicator, because that's the one thing that all the residents get. We don't get everything else. There was no communication in the communicator about it. Today is the first time it has been in the communicator, and in a situation like that, I think it's diabolical. That's all I have to say.
I'm truly sorry for the inconvenience. If you want to speak, please
Sir,
come
if
up
you want
to
to
the
speak,
board.
come up.
The main
Please state your name.
Brian Silva.
Okay, and could you use the mic, please, so we can pick up on the audio? Thank you.
There's a lot of people on Edgewater, and a lot of people have said that they would not have bought a house there if they knew this was coming to them. And what concerns me as well is I think it's going to pull down the prices, because I would not have bought otherwise. And that's a fact. Okay.
Thank you for your comments.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jeff Shoup. I also am a resident of Edgewater Drive. I guess some questions I have about this dog park is, were there any impact studies done in terms of environmental impact, traffic impact, noise impact? You're going to clear 20,000 square feet of land over there. We're going to turn it into 20,000 square feet of dirt surrounded by a chain link fence. Aesthetically, we don't want to look at that. Aesthetically, the people who are going to patron this restaurant, when they look out across that lake, what are they going to see? 20,000 square feet of dirt surrounded by a chain link fence. Like I've said, the environmental impact, you're taking down these trees. Those trees provide a wind barrier for those of us who live on Edgewater Drive. When the wind kicks up, we're just going to have all this dirt and all this mess flowing towards our homes. The smell, the runoff. People's dog waste is going to be collecting on this property. If it rains, is it going to run into the lake? What impact is it going to have on the lake? Are we going to have algae blooms? Are we going to have issues? Who studied this? I think there's a lot of questions here that need to be answered, and just saying, let's throw up a dog park based on anecdotal experience that someone says that people walk their dog at 6 in the morning, I'm up at 6 in the morning. I live across the street. I see 2 people every day who walk their dogs consistently, 2. How does that justify spending, is it $15,000 on the fencing alone, not to mention what it's going to cost to clear cut this land? I mean, I think we have a lot of questions to answer here, and more also the noise. Do you know the average dog bark is 100 decibels? Do you know what that's equivalent to? It would be me shouting at the top of my voice all day long. Now imagine if you had to listen to that by dozens of dogs. And we say this is for the community, but like we've said, we all live on Edgewater Drive. We are the community of Edgewater Drive. Our bylaws state no pets. I just think there needs to be more study, more just what are other options? I'm not against a dog park, but I don't think it's the responsibility of the residents of Edgewater Drive to have to look at this every day and deal with the noise and the mess and the increased traffic. And, you know, we sat out here the last meeting and talked and debated the use of the restaurant and justifying the expense of that. And, you know, well, it's for the residents. Well, people from outside are going to come, park their cars, drive in, use this dog park. Is that not an issue that people from outside are going to be using the dog park? I don't think it's really a community thing. I think there needs to be a lot more thought put into this before we move forward with this project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Charlie Shields, resident. Could the previous 2 people tell me if they own property on Edgewater or do they rent?
I own.
So do I. As a matter of fact, I live directly across the street. The dog park was advertised. It was put in the Sun and Lake News. It was discussed here. There was a petition signed. So I do not understand why people are just coming forward and saying that they weren't consulted or wasn't talked about. This has been an issue that's been ongoing. They've looked at other places. And as far as I'm concerned, it's a good thing for Sun and Lake. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further public comment? Staff reports?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Can I ask you a question? So we're done with public comments. So what does that mean?
We move right on to the staff reports, unless you had some added discussion you wanted to put to that.
So we're going ahead with the dog park ordinance?
Yes.
Shouldn't we say that?
It's already been approved. Staff reports.
Jim Kurtzborn, General Manager, Sun and Lake Golf Club. It's good for it to be warm and be busy on the golf course. We definitely have had a busy couple weeks. We actually are experiencing a lot of play on Saturday afternoon with our membership couples groups, and that's actually created a little bit of challenge in the restaurant. So we're actually working with them to further adjust their times to make that flow into the restaurant more even, and then our service on Saturday night better. So this Saturday we're actually going to go to 3 shotguns. Normally we do 2. We do one at 12:30 and 1, 9 holes each. Now we'll be doing 12:30, 1, and 1:30 to try to spread out that volume. Beyond that, I'd like to go through the rules and regulations now and go through some proposed changes and get everybody's input so we can adopt those today. The new suggestions that I had put forward for discussion for today that alter the last document that we looked at. The first new suggestion that I have that I'd like us to discuss is the leave of absence policy and a limit of 1 leave of absence.
I got a question. Why do we keep changing these things? I'm getting sick of dealing with this. I gotta be honest with you. I mean, this is rules and regulations. We can't even come up and agree on that. Every time we have a meeting, there's a new one.
Sure.
In all fairness, I think that Jim's team has done a tremendous job on this, Ray.
He's done a tremendous job, and it was done 2 months ago, and we still can't agree on the damn thing, and there's changes.
Okay.
Why?
Since I'm going to try to help you with that.
Help me.
We've had circumstance after circumstance come up right in front of this board. Last month we had 2. This month we have 2 more. This is evolving. It's changing. What we're trying to do is give Jim the ability to make these decisions without coming to the board. It's a lot of our time taken up on smaller items. Let's empower him to make the decisions where he can go back and say, here's a policy that's in place, and we don't have to be bothered with these types of things with people coming to the board every single time. If they have a problem with the decision that Jim might make or the operations might make, then they have the ability to come to the board. But let's empower the man.
I know, we said that last time.
And the reason it's taken so long is because these changes have come forward over the last couple of weeks. And we keep going to him and saying, can we do this, can we do that? We know it's a living document, it's going to change over time. But let's try to get the best we can right now, because 2 weeks from now, we don't want people coming into either the committees or into his shop saying, why is this happening, why is that happening? Now he'll be able to say, this is the policy. So I think that's where we're at right now. And I think we're looking to adopt it today.
We told people at the last meeting who came up and spoke at the microphone that you're allowed to have 1 leave of absence, and God forbid there's something else that happens, you can come to the board and plead your case. That's what we told people. Somebody got up here, I forget who it was, got up here, and that's what we
Paul
told
McAllister did.
Now we're saying there's a limit of 1 leave of absence per member, with a second leave of absence being earned after 5 years of membership. With the damn membership being 76 years old, what, are we kidding ourselves? It's a joke. I'm sorry, it's a joke. 5 years you gotta wait. God forbid you have a heart attack, 3 years. What are you gonna tell them? Wait another 2?
No, the policy is still there that they can, as we would read it, they can still petition the board for an exception.
Well, then why are we putting in that you have to wait 5 years if you can come to the board with an exception? I read this that you want to add this onto the policy, correct?
Well, if you look at these additions and then you look at the body of where it's added.
I know, it says there was a limit of one leave of absence per member, with a second leave of absence being earned after 5 years of membership.
And then it says exceptions to this policy must be approved by the Sun and Lake Board of Supervisors. So
bothering to change this, take the 5, just leave it like it was.
Well, I guess the reason we're bothering to change it, and what you need to understand was the direction to me after this was originally adopted was to communicate with the 5 board members and try to develop a consensus and to develop the best possible rules and regulations. As we've talked about, things have happened. Just like tomorrow, things can happen that will, if we adopt it today, that doesn't mean there won't be an amendment on the 23rd because something comes up that we weren't aware of. But basically what we're doing today is we're discussing it to finalize it after we've done the due diligence through it.
Okay, I vote not to have that line in there then, because you're telling me it doesn't matter.
The recommendation I would recommend that we allow 2 absences, medical leave, and then they'll have to come back to the board. I don't think there should be a 5-year wait. I think they should be allowed 2 medicals That way, we won't get, after one medical leave and somebody else is coming in, we won't get inundated with these requests every meeting. We have 2 more. Let's just put 2 in there, because we are an aging community, say 2 leaves of absence, and get it done with. Just take the 5 years out. So we don't have to talk about this for an hour.
I think the 5 years is in there to keep someone from taking advantage of the policy. This is just to say that if somebody's been a member here for 5 years, addressing Paul McAllister's question, he's been a member here for a lot more than 5 years. He's had one, he could get another, and it never come here. That's what the whole deal is about, as far as I'm concerned, is stopping someone from taking advantage of the policy. If you propose they can have 2, they could do it this year and next year, and we don't know what the implications of that could be. We could listen, and they can bring it back if they want to go outside that policy. I don't know that 5 years is a magic number, but there needs to be some limitation.
Jim, didn't you ask us all what the majority of us wanted, or I thought that's what you did?
You did.
Okay.
Well, yes. I mean, I've gone through it and brought up the different changes to each of the supervisors.
Okay.
But still, the purpose of this is open discussion to get to the best rules and regs policies we can have.
Well, maybe I should send you something that we don't allow jeans anymore.
I think that's going to come up.
Is that going to come up?
Why don't we just adopt what you said about the 5 year? As long as you have been a member for 5 years, you're entitled to multiple leave of absences, i.e. 2, and then, God forbid, but if a third one comes up, they will come in front of the board. So we don't have to deal with this all the time.
So we're saying you have to be a member for 5 years? And then before you can claim a... I mean, hell, that would have eliminated me from my back surgery.
So the proposal is if you join this year, a leave of absence would be available to you, and then if something came up, and then 5 years later, you would earn another leave of absence. If something happened in that time that was different, you could bring it to the board under the exception policy.
That's the way I read it.
So, David, should we vote on this and then see if, or is there an amendment to it, or what's the easiest?
If you want to go through every single one and vote for every single proposed change, and that's fine with me. That'll make it easier, as opposed to, trying to figure out what the finalized document is and then voting on it that way. I mean, whatever the board wants to do, if you want to do it change by change, go right ahead.
Well, personally, I'd like to just have him go through it, or he doesn't have to do that. We can just vote on it all right now and get it over with.
I think we spent about 4 hours doing that a couple of months ago. I don't want to bore everybody to death again.
Well, it's pretty straight. Really, now we have three general subjects: leave of absence, handicap flag policy, and membership downgrades. Really, 1 and 3 are the result of the last board meeting and things that were problematic. And then 2, which it's always difficult when you write a policy and procedure book and you're trying to be 100% correct with things that are ongoing, not membership type things, but the handicap flags it's a challenging topic at any golf course that I've been involved with. We tried eliminating the blue stake, and then now we're seeing some repercussions from that. So that's pretty much going to be a living document part of it. So we can go through, so the first one was that 2 leave of absences. The second adjustments were basically based on reinstituting the blue stake for the handicap flags. And so if we want to read through that, it's just that we're going to reinstitute the blue stake. We're going to, if they're not at the blue stake, they have to be 15 to 45 yards if they're from the green or tees, if they're not on a cart path. and that's pretty much the only new items to there. And then the membership downgrades just deal with documenting that downgrades should not take place unless they fall into a separate category where another policy would cover it, i.e. case of death. And then that just gives the example of how we handle a member passing away.
I agree with all those changes.
I don't.
Do we
So
just
should
take
we-
a consensus
Yeah,
then?
There was a consensus, right?
Yeah,
We
should
don't
we have
vote
a-
per se.
Yeah.
Can you explain the last one to me? The downgrade?
The membership downgrade is just to clarify the fact that we don't offer a downgrade membership, so someone can't take out a 12-month membership and then come in after 3 months and say they want to change to a 3-month membership or a 5-month membership.
And if they pass away, what happens?
If they pass away, there's
6-month proration.
in the other part of the document that had already been approved, it deals with members that pass away. So they can be prorated up to 6 months of their membership.
You'll better tell everybody to die at the right time?
Yep.
I don't know, Mr. Brooks, this was the document that you approved last time, and you haven't brought it up to me to change it.
Change.
Pardon?
I thought this was the change.
No, sir, that's not the change. The change is the downgrade. It's not the event of death. That's not a change. That's from the previous document.
I'm okay with this as presented.
Me too.
Me 3.
Me, 4.
Nope.
Okay, so we have a consensus for the rules and regs.
Thanks, Jim.
Yes, thank you.
I do have one other question for you.
Sure, yes.
You at last meeting told us that you were going to forward to Casper the standards that we approved. I haven't gotten a copy of that email.
Okay, I've sent it to Casper. I'll forward you a copy of the email.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
None.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Jim. General Counsel report?
All right, there's a little bit of motion on Ayala, basically a response to our request, our attorney's request for reconsideration. The opposing counsel isn't very happy about it, and so he's basically, he's raised an opposition to it and asked for attorney's fees. We'll see where that goes, but I don't know that it's going to extend the time it's going to take for the court to make a decision on our motion. I reviewed the BCG contract as instructed regarding the stuff that happened with the greens. Based on my review, there was an event of default under Section 9B. It states that failure to maintain the amenities of the golf club in a reasonably good condition, not including failures resulting from abnormal weather conditions, acts of God, or other events or conditions beyond reasonable control of BCG. And I don't think there's a dispute that what happened was probably within the reasonable control of BCG, so therefore it was an event of default. There's a notice and cure on any event of default, and it requires a 10-day written notice stating what's happened, a written notice, and they have either 10 days to cure in a monetary matter or 30 days to take steps to cure in a non-monetary matter. This is a non-monetary matter, so they had 30 days to start curing, and I believe that occurred. So they were within the bounds of the contract to take, they took steps to cure the default within a reasonable time period. That brings us to the indemnification and liability section. Under paragraph 14A, it says, to the fullest extent permitted by law, BCG will defend, indemnify, and hold owner harmless from and against any claims, losses, expenses, cost suits, actions, proceedings, demands, or liabilities that are asserted against or sustained or incurred by owner solely because of BCG's breach of this agreement or because of legal actions or regulatory violations arising solely from BCG's negligence, fraud, or willful misconduct. If we were to get into a legal battle, I don't know that we would be able to specifically show that it was solely BCG's fault that what happened. I think that's a very high burden of proof. Probably in a revised version of the contract down the line, we probably want to change that. Florida operates under comparative fault. The facts are presented, and then the court or jury determines, the percentages of, they submit the percentages of fault. The plaintiff is this much responsible, the defendant is this much responsible. If a third party is involved, a third party bears this amount of responsibility. And then money is broken up that way. So, looking at our $63,000 worth of damages? Yeah, $63,000 worth of damages. If we were to go to litigation, the court would make a determination that says, if, just to put numbers out there, BCG was 50% at fault, the district's 50% at fault, then they would award damages to us in the amount of $31,500, or something to that effect. It would all come down to percentages. That being said, the $15,000 number, after further talking with Tanya and discussions that I've been informed of with BCG, the email that we discussed at the last board meeting was not intended as a counteroffer. The intent was to pay the $15,000, and it was a request, that they have the ability to earn that money back. It was a request. It was not a demand. It was contingent upon the payment of the $15,000 or non-payment. So the $15,000 number is still a valid offer, and if there's any desire to change that number, my recommendation would be to discuss that and make a decision on that today, because there's been no performance of that payment, to my knowledge. And if there's been no payment, then we could say that even if it's a partial payment, performance begins, and then we are pretty much bound to that $15,000 number. So if we want a different number, the board put that in the general manager's hands. She made a decision, and $15,000 with the number. If you don't like that number, have a discussion, pick a new number, take a vote, and we can make that change today. But that would be my recommendation.
David, we would do that during board discussion and then ask you for guidance on it. If we wanted to change that, it would be during the regular board discussion, correct?
Yeah, we can do the board discussion. That's fine, as long as it's today's meeting.
And I just have one question, David. I think it'd be we wouldn't want to litigate something like that, take them to court if they didn't want to pay it, because don't we have the authority just to say 6 months? Bye?
We do. By the contract, we do have that.
Why would we want to litigate that to cost us even more money?
And under the terms of this contract, I would not recommend that.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure, because that's something that just would not be an option in my mind. So.
Thanks, David.
I have to say I'm not in love with $15,000, but once we made the offer, I feel we're obligated to live with it. I frankly asked, when they talked to me, I said we ought to get more than that, but okay, we did it. We got to live with. I think we're obligated to live with the.
I don't think we can discuss per se what people. And you correct me if I'm wrong, David. This hasn't been paid, therefore it's still an open item. We can discuss it during the.
Yes, the board has the power to rescind it. It has. Right. There's been no official acceptance, and the board. My recommendation. It's better sooner than later. My recommendation, if you want to change it, is today's the day to do that. Yeah. But the board has power to do that.
Okay.
Well, if Mark wants to discuss this during board to board, that's fine, but I too don't want to change it. I want to find out the process that we cover $15,000. That's what I'm more interested. We can't talk about that until we tell Billy Casper it's okay to pay that. But I'm certainly very interested in how we come up with a $15,000 figure. So I'm in favor of, if anybody cares, that we let them pay 15, but I'm not happy with that.
That's all I have.
Okay, thanks, David. Tanya, General Managers.
Holston Engineering will be mapping the deed-restricted lots in Unit 16 for the district. I'll be getting with Drew here on some more information, and we will start that process very soon. So once we have that map, I'll provide it to board. This will give us a visual of what we're really dealing with in Unit 16. We do know many lots have the restrictions, but it could be your next door neighbor that doesn't. So we do know that for a fact, but it'll be easier visual to know what we're dealing with when we see it. We have received an information request from Global Golf Advisors, and staff is working on compiling the information now, and we hope to have it finalized by next week. Jim and I are working with the project manager of Global Golf to schedule their site visit, so we're going to inform the board as soon as we have some of those dates narrowed down. We'll let you know. The site visit will be a 2-day site visit where they're going to schedule interviews, they're going to tour our golf courses, tour our facilities, and so we're working on that now, so we'll let you know as soon as we have that. The trees on the corner of, on Sun Lake Boulevard and where Sunrise intersects with Sun Lake Boulevard, they have been removed by TWQ Services, and those are they removed only the trees that were down from Hurricane Irma, and a couple of leaning. Do we know how many that they ended up removing?
20, 40, big and small.
Okay, all right. The Highlands County Board of County Commissioners will be, sir? Oh, did you have a question? Oh, the Highlands County Board of County Commissioners will be presented a list of surplus lots here in the district at their February 20th meeting. So the county has moved forward with that process. I believe it will be in the range of about 72, which is higher than what we anticipated, so that is good news for the district. Once they are approved by the Board of County Commissioners, they will be listed on their website, and they have minimum bids, and they will be taking offers on an individual basis.
Do we know where those are located, the 72?
Those are in Unit 16. They said they're going to start in Unit 16, so once we have those, they haven't put out the board package yet for the Board of County Commissioners, so the final information will be submitted in those board packets. But it's all Unit 16 lots. They said they were going to focus there. And then I have a thank you letter from the South Florida State College has presented a thank you letter to the Board of Directors for helping sponsor their capital campaign, and this was the $1 million hole-in-one shootout. So we have a thank you letter from them. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Unfinished business?
None?
New business?
Yep.
Committee reports?
No.
Okay, this is a time for public comment.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Gustavo Ibanez. I'm an owner and veteran builder here in Stone Lake with over $1 million just in Stone Lake. It's surprising how the office is only, to my impression, works just to impress the board. You guys spend money bringing realtors to look for investors and general contractors. Well, I've been building here for 2 years already. Most of the office knows me. I made a proposal a year ago, almost to Tanya, buying 10 lots. It was never answered. I came to the board, called, I never even got a written response. Some of them were sold for the same price I offer. Then I started building some homes and started getting out of Stone Lakes because of harassment. Last year, on Granada, I got a warning note for a lot that wasn't even mine. This year, I'm building a house on Vizcaya. I got another warning notice for trash. There wasn't ever any trash on it. When I came to the office, I said, "Where's the trash?" "Oh, we never came to check that out, but we just got a phone call." And today, that construction got vandalized. So if you guys are looking for guys to build houses, bring people into the community, why am I rejected or being harassed? That's what I would like to know. I built so far. I'm right now, one on Granada, just got the dirt, one more on another Granada, then I got the duplexes finished on Granada, I want one on Vizcaya and one on Florida Avenue. How many people are building that many houses here besides me? The guy is building next to me He's a good friend of mine from West Palm Beach. We decided to get the heck out of Sonoma Lake. 2 days ago, I met with a guy from Century 21. You have a 2.75-acre lot at the entrance of Tanglewood. I was going to buy it to build an ALF with 3 other doctors from the hospital. When we found out what's Sonoma Lake, guess what happened? I'm not getting involved. Is that what you guys want? Or you guys want to work with builders and developers and investors? Spending our money, because I pay for all my properties, all the assessment, on realtors. Oh, bring people to buy homes over here. They get special prices on memberships. What about us, the ones that truly building and investing in the community? I would like to know that. Because I'm really upset. I already started selling my lots. I had 3 more lots on Granada. I sold them out. That's my comment. Thank you.
Do you want me to answer some questions?
Michael, can you shed some light on this?
Yes.
Because I was not aware of any of this.
Well, he is a builder. He's building. He's built some homes here in Center Lake. We've had complaints about the area where he's building, where he's leaving. What he was talking about when his house got vandalized, what happened was his next door neighbor called us. Actually, two next door neighbors called us and complained about the area where he was working. I went over to myself, all right, because I knew the history with all this. I went over myself, met with the residents. They showed me. I called him and I met up. He doesn't think that there was anything wrong. There were a few things wrong.
Sir,
okay,
let him finish, please.
Wrong. Absolutely, there was some things wrong. He fixed them. He continued building. I actually even met with the owner. I think it's a doctor from the hospital. He started working. I just found out today that his house is vandalized. Never knew anything about it. He did show me the pictures, and it's pretty bad. You know, we're not harassing him. When we get a call, we address that call. If we see something wrong, we send him a letter, and we hope the resident or the contractor or whoever will fix it. You know, so that's where we are with his problem.
Mike, you and I went together. You didn't even go. I came to the office and asked for you to come because the other guy, the tall, skinny guy, and you told me that you guys wrote that letter without even coming to confirm the trash.
No.
The tree, that's what you said. The tree you saw in the back, that was the guy that supposedly called for the complaint. Right. And I told you, we have witnesses when he hauled it to our lot. And those trees were right on the property line.
Well, he said...
No. We had the witness.
Everybody's going back.
No, we got witness. I told you I had the witness. I saw them pulling those trees to the lot.
Now, have I been trying to work with you? Have I been trying to work with you? Okay. All right? I have been trying to work with you. Okay?
Every time. What about the tree I got also cited? It wasn't in my lot.
Can I interrupt here?
Sure, sir.
Is there any chance that you and I could sit down in a one-on-one,
sure, not a
try to
problem,
figure this out?
Sure, not a problem.
Okay.
Then the date and the time, I'll be there.
Can you either give me a business card or write down your name on a piece of paper, how I can get in contact with you?
No problem at all.
Okay.
I have it in.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I got it in my phone. So.
Mike, I'll just say, I have full confidence in you. You know, there might be some misunderstandings, but...
And there is misunderstandings, but, I mean, if a resident calls, we have to listen to both sides, and that's what we do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's our job.
And I have a question on, it was hard for me to understand everything, but the realtor thing, what's that?
He's a realtor.
Oh, okay.
He's building...
Owner and realtor.
Right,
okay.
and he builds himself.
Okay.
And he's trying, and I'll give him that, but, I mean, you know, there are some... Like you said, the communication is a little tough. But,
and we appreciate you.
No, not just even that. Danny, remember the lots I sent you an email last year? For 10 lots? I didn't even get a written response on that. I have to come to the board and let you guys know. Then I have to go back to their office and talk to Omar about it. This is the whole package.
Can I say something?
Yes, please do.
To the office, Tanya has addressed everything, okay? She knows what's going on. We are both trying to address everything, and Omar. You know, we are trying to work with them, and I mean, I don't know how much more we can do, to help you.
Did you ever respond to my email on the proposal? They didn't.
I didn't see your email, so.
Oh, I sent it to Tanya and Omar, and everyone got a response on it.
Okay, we'll meet, and I'll sit down with Tanya and Michael at separate occasions. Thank you. Beat out. Any more public comment? Discussion to and from the board.
Okay. I just need some clarification. What did we decide, Billy Casper? We're going to take the 15, we're not taking the 15?
I think that's what we're going to decide
That's the
now.
part we're going to discuss.
Oh, we still have to discuss this?
It's pretty simple.
I don't...
You want to
So
accept
what do
the
we-
15,000?
Oh, we haven't gotten to it yet?
Well, they said the 15,000 is out there. You only really need to discuss it if you're not happy with it and want to change it. It's that simple. I mean, if you're comfortable with the 15,000, that's the offer that's out there. That's, if there's only a need for discussion if you want to change it.
Hey, I'm comfortable with it. I wasn't thrilled with it, but I'm comfortable with it. I agree with what Dan said. We put that offer out there. Let's honor it. But
We're all comfortable.
okay, Tanya, you can go forward.
I have another question, Jim, I forgot. How are we coming with that membership directory? Are we doing one this year? I know we're doing one. Yeah. Is that I don't know, is that fall under you?
Well, everything falls under me indirectly. I'll check on it. It should be out shortly. I'll get an exact date.
In a couple of months, we can have a package made up for all the people that go back up north and say, here's your directory.
That's a great idea.
I like that, too. We've been saying we're going to do that for several months. We should probably get one out if we're going to.
Jim, can you get us a communication on that, an email, just to make somebody happy?
Sure.
Thank you.
I don't know, I'll make somebody happy, but I'll get you the
It probably won't work, but you can try.
Everything makes somebody happy, Jim.
Oh, gosh, what a day. No further board discussion?
No, other than, I don't want to do it today, but now that we've accepted the 15,000, we can kind of delve into how we got that, right? I mean, we can ask each other, are we allowed now, and I don't want to do it now, but am I allowed to ask what everybody wanted? What everybody put out? Because I'm really...
Well, let me get back to you on that. I don't think I have a problem with that, but let me do a little bit of research
Okay.
first. I'll send you all an email.
Okay, thank you.
No further discussion? Meeting's adjourned.
Hey,